All right. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rakar Kadash. Double honors to the apostles of GMS who rule well, and also the elders of GMS who rule well, who continually, through the Spirit, teaching us this truth in the scriptures. And salutation to the Akim on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth in sincerity and in love. All right. And also to the confusion of faces, man. Hopefully, these videos that the Akim are putting up reach out to you and let you know that you're Israelites, and you can return back to the fold under Yasharala, all right? The fold of Yasharala, all right? I want to do a sit down, I watched a couple of videos on YouTube today from when the Apostle Gabar, he had put out saying that the brothers that are Confusion of Faces should start doing videos. So I guess they was talking to Vocab Malone, saying to him, the brothers who are Confusion of Faces, asking, would I be considered a black Hebrew Israelite? Because, you got brothers that's in this fold, that's woken up to this truth that look like these other nations, man. You had a couple brothers that look like Edomites, but through the spirit, and through the seed, they are Israelites, man. You know what I'm saying? Because like the scripture says, our spirit bears witness with their spirit, that we are the children of the Most High. And that's what it is, because, as a curse, the Most High did that to us, man. He scattered us among all these nations, all these heathens, man, as a curse, because we went off from the law, statute, commandments, like he said he was going to do to us in Deuteronomy the 28th chapter if we didn't keep his law, statute, commandments. And I'll bring that out in a minute. But yeah, man, you're going to have Israelites. You will look at me and see that, I'm dark skinned, dark melanin, and they will say, yeah, I'm a black Hebrew Israelite, man. But you look at my flesh, man, my flesh ain't black. The skin is not black, man. My hair is black, but you could obviously see a difference between my hair and my skin complexion. Now, if I was black, even my facial hair, it will all blend in. It will all look the same. But you can see, and it's just a vibration Esau put out to make us a lower state, because black means everything evil, wicked, and so on and so on. And that's just the vibration they're trying to put out by saying we're black. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you ever I've noticed, since being in this truth, when so-called white people, which are the biblical Edomites, when they say the word black, they're saying it like with a disdain, a disgust in their voice, like black. You know what I'm saying? Like they're basically throwing up. Like it's like that's black. You know what I'm saying? Like, or they're that black man. There's always this stigmatism by being black. If somebody's black is something wicked or evil or lower than all the rest. Because that's like, and even when in all the nations, the darker you are, the more you're supposed to be attractive, man. Because that's the vibration Esau wants to put out. Because he's of a lighter skin complexion. Because you can see his blood through his flesh. You know what I'm saying? That's the real curse. That's a real skin complexion curse, is being, with no melanin, man. It's being able to see your blood through your flesh. That's the real curse. But they try to flip it now and try to say that us being dark skinned, that's the curse. And he has the whole world believing this. Because you got Elam, which is the so-called East Indians, and even in their culture, the darker you are, the less attractive you are. Because I used to deal with this Elamite chick, and she was saying how the Southeast Indians, they're considered ugly, and they're lesser class than them. But in reality, she was saying that she even finds them. She's from Northeast India, and she was saying her people from Northeast India. And she was saying that the Southeast Indians, they're actually more. They're considered richer than the rest of India. I don't know if I think they are Punjabis, and they're considered they're considered uglier as far as because the way they look. And she was showing me them pictures, and I'm like, these, for me, I'm attracted to Elamite women. You know what I'm saying? That's the heathen of my choice, the Elamite woman. And for you scoffers out there, there's nothing wrong with being attracted to heathens, man. You're not just supposed to marry them according to the law, which I'm bringing out too. You could pop them, like Apostle Ricard always say, yeah, you could pop these other nations, man, but you're not supposed to marry them, man. But yeah, so quick point I want to make, like, Elam is the choice of heathen for me. I find them attractive out of all the heathens out there. So she was showing me pictures of these Southeast Indians, and I was like, yo, they're not ugly, they look good as hell. She was like, oh no, look at her. And, they were dark skinned Edomites, man. I seen some of them, nearly my complexion. I'm just looking like, she's bugging. They look good. You know what I'm saying? Whatever, to keep it moving. But like, yeah, in this society, they try to demonize being dark skinned, man, saying that the darker you are, the more wicked you are by appearance and stuff like that, man. And that's why they want to give us this stigmatism in what's the word I want to use? And this they want to demonize, put it that way, they just want to demonize this Israelite movement of ours, waking up to our true nationality by calling us black Hebrew Israelites, man. Because, you know, even in the sense of things, they don't call them white Hebrew Israelites. They don't call the so-called fake Jews out here white Hebrew Israelites. You know why? Because even Esau doesn't want to connect the Amaleks, which are the so-called Jewish people, as being white. Because, you know, they don't really look at them as white. They look at them as, oh, they're just Jews. Like that's a whole race of their own. Jews is a whole race of their own. But no, they're considered under the house of Esau. Amalek is one of the tribes of Esau. So you don't call them white Hebrew Israelites because you don't want them to be connected to you. Because the so-called white man has a disdain also for the so-called Jews, and vice versa. But they consider us black Hebrew Israelites because they want to put that separation out there, that they don't want to accept the fact that we are the Lord's chosen people, that this is like a Black Panther movement or black supremacist movement. Slack if I didn't say the word right, but you know what I'm trying to say. They try to make it seem like that, but this is not that at all, man. This is us, like the scripture says that he's going to wake us up in the second day, all right? And this is what happened to us. This is what happened, man. We're waking up to our nationality. Because if that's the case, then, you know, you got to ask yourself, then, if we're not Israelites, then who are we, man? I don't want to, you know, drift off too far from the subject of this, but who are we? If we're not Hebrew Israelites, then who are we? Because we're not even accepted by the Africans, so-called Africans out there. So who are we? We just this race of people that was just supposed to be subjected to slavery. That's it. That was our lot in life, to be subject to slavery. That's it. Like, no, man. No, this is who we are. This book proves who we are, man. And it proves the condition, why we're in the condition that we're in now, and the fact that we're waking up to our nationality and our heritage is going to be stripped from us and our language. And that's exactly what happened to the so-called Black, Latino, Native Americans on this planet, man. And no other nation as a whole can say that they went through the things that happen in this book, man. That's how you know these scriptures are true, and that's how you know it pertains to one people, which are the true Israelites, which are you Black, Latino, Native Americans. All right. So I'm gonna go and dive into this. I'm gonna start off with the curse that the Lord put on the nation of Israel for disobeying His law, statute, commandments. All right. This is like the law, basically proving that you're gonna have Israelites out here that's gonna look like these other nations, man. All right. And it reads, this is Deuteronomy 20. This is Deuteronomy 28, and I start at verse 15. All right, it reads, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord, the voice of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, thy power, to observe to do all His commandments and His statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. All right, so right there is saying that the Lord is saying, if you will not hearken to the voice of Him and do not observe to do His commandments and His statutes, these curses is going to come upon us. All right. So you got from 16 all the way to 68 the curses that came upon the nation of Israel for disobeying His words, His law, statute, commandments. All right. And the point, and the key point of this sit down is the curses in Deuteronomy 64 and 65, and it reads, and Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai shall scatter thee among all people. All right, he's saying that the Lord shall scatter the nation of Israel amongst all people. What's all people? All these other nations, man. All these heathens out here. He's going to scatter us among them. All right, from one end of the earth unto the other. So from the Pacific Ocean all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. So, you know, if you want to put it in today's terms, from America all the way to China. All right, the Lord says He's going to scatter us from all the way from Antarctica to Antarctica. The Lord scattered us among. So basically the four corners of the earth. The Lord scattered the nation of Israel, because we know the Lord said that we like the sand of the sea. So imagine picking up a handful of sand and just throwing it in the air. That's how the Lord scattered the nation of Israel. Like, you ain't gonna be able to find, the Lord can, but you won't be able to. You throw that handful of sand in the air, you would never be able to go and find every grain of sand that you threw in the air and bring it back to what you picked up in the first place. No, you can't. But the Lord, being all powerful, He knows where He has his Israelites scattered at. He knows where each and every one is at scattered amongst these other nations, man. And even to the point that they look like these other nations now, because through generations of generations, mingling with these other nations, you're going to have them looking like a so-called Indian, a so-called Chinese person, Japanese person, African person, so-called white person, all right, and other various nations out there. And that's the power of the Lord right there. It was a curse that he put upon us because we disobeyed him, but that's the point that he made. He said he's going to scatter us as a punishment, all right? Keep reading. For one end of the earth even to the other, and there thou shalt serve of the gods, which neither thou nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone. All right. And it says in 65, and among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but Yahweh Hashem Yahushai shall give thee there a trembling heart and filling of eyes and a sorrow of mind. Right. Because just because the Lord scattered the nation of Israel into these other nations doesn't mean they're exempt from the curses. So even when they go over there, because, the spirit of an Israelite is so much different than these heathens, man. So when you're scattered, when the Israelites, so when those Israelites get scattered to these other nations, they still got that spirit of an Israelite in them, and their spirit's not gonna mesh with these heathen spirits. So these other nations, they're gonna know that those certain people, they're not the same as us. That's what happened when, after 70 AD, when all them Jews, which was Levites, Benjamites, and Judites, fled into the west coast of Africa. That's how, after hundreds of years, when the time of slavery came, those Africans, those so-called Africans that was over there, those Hamites, knew exactly where to go sell the nation of Israel, who they looked alike, but they knew who they were. They were different from them. They knew exactly who to sell with the so-called Arabs, which is Ishmael. They knew exactly where to go to get the nation of Israel and sell them to the so-called white man, because our spirits didn't mesh with the Hamites, the so-called African spirit. So they knew that we were different from them. They knew we were different people. So that's why they came over there and they got us. They didn't go and sell their own Hamitic people. Maybe a couple of them got caught up in slavery, but as a whole, as a nation, it was a nation of Israel that got caught up in that slavery. And that's the twist that the white man likes to, the so-called white man likes to say, is like, oh, Africans sold other Africans, blacks sold other blacks into slavery. Yeah, so-called dark people sold so-called dark people sold so-called dark people into slavery, but it was two different nations, man. Because the Lord said he separated the Egyptians from the Israelites. There's a difference between us. We may look the same, we might have the same hair texture, same skin complexion, but there's a different spirit in us, man. The Lord separated us from the beginning of this thing. And guess what? Those Hamites, the so-called Africans, knew there was a difference. And that's why they came to the West Coast and sold us to the so-called white man through the transatlantic slave trade, because they knew there was a difference in spirit and in our culture and everything we do. We tried to blend in with them because we was trying to escape Roman persecution in between 66 to 70 AD. We try to blend in so we can hide from them. But through time, you're gonna say you're going to tell who we are, because we not like them, man. We do totally different things. Just like when they come over here, they try to be like us, because they want to seem Americanized. So they come over here and they try to dress like us. But you can tell when a Hamite, when they come over here, they dress all different and they move different. Like a so-called African when you see one, man. So they don't look like us. They don't move like us. They don't have no style like us. You know what I'm saying? They don't have no game like us. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the apostles always say, why they not going to East Africa getting so-called NBA and NFL players? Because they're not the same as us, man. They don't have that athletic ability. They don't have that salt like us, man. All right? They may look similar to us, but they not us, man. All right, but that's the power of the Most High. He can scatter us into these nations, and then even those nations could tell, yeah, man, they not Indians, man. They differ from them. That's why they get that's why it says in 65 they shall find no ease. So them curses, meaning that they're gonna treat them like they're worthless, like they're the bottom, like, you know, as a proverb, they're gonna treat them the same way that the Israelites over here are getting treated, man. They're gonna get persecuted, they're gonna get hated on, they're gonna get made fun of, they're gonna be called different names and derogatory names and so on and so on. Even in the lands, even in those lands that they're scattered in, man, they still getting the hate, they still in the curses out there, man. They probably got poverty out there too. You know what I'm saying? They going through all the curses that the ones that actually look like. What is, first of all, what does a Hebrew Israelite look like in the first place, man? We've been mingled in so many different captivities that you can't even point out what a real Hebrew Israelite looks like, man. Because you know why? We've been mixed and mingled so much with these other nations through captivity and through us being disobedient that there is no person walking this earth that looks like a natural Hebrew Israelite. All right. So for right now, you say that a Hebrew Israelite, you can't even say looks like a so-called black man, Latino man, Native American man, because you know what? We've been mingled, man. So nobody is the original, nobody looks like an original Hebrew Israelite that's walking the earth right now, man. The only one that's going to come back looking like a Hebrew Israelite is Yahweh Shai when he cracks the sky. So whatever features he has is the original features of a so-called, or not so-called, original features of a Hebrew Israelite from the tribe of Judah, all right? But you know what? When the bodies change, when we get our bodies changed, the elect gets their body changed, we're going to go back looking like an original Hebrew Israelite the way the Lord wanted us to look. All right? But yeah, the point, keep reading. The point is, he said, the Lord shall give thee their trembling of heart, meaning that you're going to be scared. Just like, you know, the regular black Latino American man has a trembling heart here in America. So those ones scattered in the other nations, they're going to have the same trembling heart wherever they at. Because deep down inside, the spirit's not going to mesh with them heathens that they're scattered amongst. All right? A failing of eyes and sorrow of mind, man, because you know they thinking they looking because they're not welcome to the fact that they are Hebrew Israelites, and they're gonna be thinking like, yo, why are we getting treated like this, man? Why are we getting treated like we're less than our what they think are their kinsmen? You know, because that's the curses upon you. All right, so I'm gonna jump here to Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter. I'll start the first verse. This is Deuteronomy chapter 7 and 1. All right. It says, when Yahweh thy power shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the Gizurites, Gargashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when Yahweh thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. All right. So the Lord, when he delivered us from out of Egypt, the Lord told us we're going to go into the lands of these other nations. And when we go there, he said he wants us to utterly smite them and utterly destroy them. Means kill them all, just take them off the face of the earth. But did we do that? No. We were disobedient. And we did what? We ended up mingling with them and try to be like them. And I'm just going to keep reading, whatever. All right, verse 3, neither shalt thou make marriages with them, meaning that we should not taking them as wives, taking them, our daughters, taking them as their husbands. All right, and it's going to say that thy daughter thou shalt not give unto thy son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son, for they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. All right. And why did the Lord say that? Because why did the Lord didn't want us dealing with these other nations? Because he said in the 4th verse, because he's going to take our heart, dealing with these other nations is going to take our heart and our mind away from him, and we're going to start serving the powers of these heathens, their idols, man, and start going after their customs. All right. And the Lord said in the verse 6, it says, for thou art a holy people. What does holy mean? Separate. We are a separate people unto him. It's going to say that. For thou art a holy people unto Yahweh thy power. Yahweh thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto him, unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. All right. So the Lord said, I made you a separate people unto me, a special people above all the people on the face of the earth. So that's why the Lord said, I don't want you dealing with these other nations, man. What they do, don't worry about that. I don't care about them. They let them do what they want to do. I'm going to put you above all the people on the earth. And that's why he told us he wanted us to kill these people in this land when we came into there, because he knew the hearts and the mind of Israel, man. He knew that we are rebellious children. We are foolish people, man. That's why he says, I just want y'all to go over there and utterly smite them. But you know what? The hearts of the Israelites, they seen that they were greater and mightier now, so they got fear in their heart. They didn't trust in the Lord, their power, man. They was like, you know what, let's just try to deal with them. But they didn't understand that these nations, truth be told, these other nations are jealous of us, man. And as they should be, because the Lord only deals with us. And it's the Lord. He can do whatever he wants, man. Just like growing up, you had a favorite toy. That toy I had, my favorite action figure growing up was either Stone Cold Steve Austin or Spawn. They were unbeatable. Like, you know, if I'm wrestling or fighting with other toys, and you cannot beat Spawn and you cannot beat Stone Cold. And sometimes I made them tag team partners, and they would just trash everybody else. No matter who it was, they would beat them. Because why? Because I'm the author of this story, you know? These are my toys, and I chose those to be my favorite ones. And this is how the Lord set it up. He set it up. He made all the people upon the face of the earth that came out of Adam and Noah. So he said, what? I choose the Israelites. That's his choice. And you know what I'm saying? As a heathen of these, as a person of these other nations, I can understand why you're upset, man. You know what I'm saying? Like growing up, I was jealous for the so-called Jews because I always thought that the Lord chose them. I used to get mad. I had disdain in my heart for them. I'm like, yo, the Lord chose them? Like, why? Like why did the Lord choose them? And I'm like, oh, they're so corny to me. I would like, even before, this is before I knew the truth. This was growing up when I'm in high school. This is growing up as a young, 20-year-old man before I came into this truth. I'm like, why did the Lord choose them? Like, I'm looking at him like, it pissed me off. Like, I grew hate in my heart for them because the Lord chose them. And that's why these other nations feel towards us. Because, you know, deep down inside, they know that we're different than them, man. That's why their women, they graduate to us, gravitate to us, man. Deep down inside, they would love to know what it's like to be a Hispanic man, a so-called Native American man, so-called black man. And, you know, when they go off to these various colleges and behind their daddy's back, they do it, man. They do it. And I was in the army stationed in Italy, man. They love American black men, man. They wouldn't deal too much with Esau over there, but they loved us, man. They loved the black and Hispanic man. They were running flock to us like it was like we were gods, man. And this is us in our basis form, man. That's what they do, man. They love Jake, man. Why? Because they see that we're different than their men. They see that we're different than their men. That's why they try to mimic us and try to be like us, because they know that we're better than them. And their women likes our style, man. It's just the way the Lord set it up. Like, don't be mad at us, be mad at the Creator. But at the same time, I can see why you're mad. You know what I'm saying? We like the ones woken up to this thing, we see why these other nations are mad. We see why their woman wants us, man, because we're better than them. And that's just the way the Lord set it up. And that's why Esau hates us so much, because even he knows, man. That's why, like, when I go to the gym, you know what I'm saying, I be in there doing my thing, whatever, minding my business, and like I have this happen to look at the mirror, I just catch Esau just watching me, you know what I'm saying? Because I can go in there for a week, you know, I get cut up and a nice little pump to me, and swollenness to me, and you can see Esau be in there every day, twice a day, running miles, and they look at you like, damn, like, how does he get that so fast? Like, he's only been in this gym a couple days, and he's already, you know what I'm saying, bulking up and everything like that, because the Lord set it up that way, man. We are the cream of the crop. We are the salt of the earth, man. You can't, when we get to our righteous form, you can't get no better than that. We're going to be the perfect being on this planet, man. And even in our basis form, we still the perfect being, man, because the Lord set it up that way. All right, let me get back to these scriptures. This is Exodus, the 34th chapter. It's Exodus 34 and 14. All right, for thou shalt worship no other power. This is the law that Moses spoke unto the children of Israel when he gave them the law, statute, commandments from the Most High. All right, and it reads, For thou shalt worship no other power. For Yahweh, whose name is jealous, is a jealous power. Right, the Lord is a jealous power. So when he told us not to go into these other nations as far as marrying them and taking them for our daughters and taking them for our sons, he's a jealous power, because he knew if we did that, we were going to go after their idols, man, their gods. And the Lord said he's a jealous power. So you know that saying that the world says jealousy is a female trait? No. Jealousy is a God-like trait, man. So, you know, that's why, you know, you see your woman talking to another man out here, or, you know what I'm saying, anything like that. You know, being jealous, there's nothing wrong with being jealous. It's when you covet your neighbor's property, that's when it's a problem, man. But if you feel that spirit of jealousy, you know, your woman showing another man attention, yeah, that's a righteous spirit. You're supposed to feel that way. Like, bitch, what you doing? You ain't supposed to be talking to that nigga. Don't talk to him. Don't look at him. Don't laugh at his jokes. No, get back over here. No, that's how the Lord feel about us. When He's seen us going after these going after these idols and other powers, man. And the Lord is like, get y'all asses back over here. Y'all belong to me. The Lord was mad about it. He was jealous about it. All right, so I'm going to read that again. For thou shalt worship no other God. For Yahweh, whose name is jealous, is a jealous power. All right, the Lord is jealous, man. So that bullshit about jealousy is a female trait, that's bullshit, man. Jealousy is a man trait, because the Lord is a man, and jealousy is a God-like trait, man. If a man ain't jealous, he ain't no God, man. The Lord said we are gods, man. The nation of Israel, we are God. We are prince of the power, man. Sons of the power, sons of the Most High. So if the Lord is a jealous man, then we are jealous, man, because we have the same characteristics as him, man. All right. Verse 15, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they go a-whoring after their gods, going a-whoring. Because right now, you know, the majority of our nation, the majority of the nation of Israel is a whore right now to the Most High. The Most High. Just like if your woman goes out there and starts dealing with another man, you will call her a whore. So the Lord is calling the nation of Israel as a whole or a whore, man, because we went a-whoring after the gods. Just like I was growing up, I grew up in Christianity. Baptist Christianity, Pentecostal, Apostolic, all that bullshit. I grew up in that, so I was going to whoring after other gods, man. Because like I said when I read in Deuteronomy, it said you're going after wood and stone. So I worship wood because, you know, they worship the cross and everything like that. So I was worshiping wood. But, you know, through repentance and mercy, I got woken up to the truth. And, you know, Lord willing, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai forgave me of my sins. And now I'm worshiping the Father in spirit and in truth the correct way, knowing that I'm a Hebrew Israelite, that I shouldn't be going to these churches, man. That I'm supposed to be keeping these law, statutes, commandments, and keeping my trust and my faith in Yahweh through Yahweh Shai, man. And that's coming back, man. That's coming back to the Lord. So the majority of our nations, whether they be Muslims, Christians, Catholics, and the various other religions and deities out there, you're going a whoring after other gods, man. And you're making the Most High jealous, all right? Read 15 again. Lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land. And then you know what? We made a covenant. Let's make a point of that. We made a covenant with the inhabitants of the land. We went into slavery, man. Christianity was forced on our people. It was like either you're going to worship Caesar Borgia, Jesus Christ, or you're going to put to death, man. And they made an example of those who didn't worship Jesus Christ, that image, the right image of Caesar Borgia. They made a point to kill them in front of everybody to make an example. And so what? We made a covenant saying, okay, yeah, we're going to worship it. And then what happened? Because, you know, the women being a weaker state than the men. So when the beginning of the slavery happened, all right, they'll kill the men, you know, kill the men of our people in front of the women and the children. And so what? A mother being, you know, protective over her children, she would say what? Okay, yeah, master, we'll worship that because she didn't want her children to get put to death like that. And so what? So what did our foremothers do? Because you see today growing up, our foremothers do teach their children to worship this through slavery. It's called the Willie Lynch syndrome. What they did was they killed the man and made the woman and the children watch and have the mother teach their children, like, listen, you're going to do this because in fear of them that happening to their children. So through generation after generation after generation after generation, here we are today. The mothers, because, you know, Israel is still getting raised by a mother because of the curses. The father doesn't really play a major part in the household. And majority of our families in America, you know, in captivity, you know, all over the world, majority of the Israelites, the father doesn't play a major role in the household. So the mother doing what? Through her mother, and on, is teaching that Christianity or that Islam, all these other, you know, bullshit doctrines. But majority of it's Christianity amongst our people because our mothers indoctrinated that into us as a baby. So when our people grow up, they do the same thing. And that's why they fill in these churches, man. And it was all a divine plan through Esau, man, to have this happen. And it's also a divine plan because the Most High let Esau do it as a curse to our people, all right? So that was just a point that I want to make on the covenant and the inhabitants of the land. All right. Keep reading. And they go a-whoring after their gods and do sacrifices unto their gods and one call thee and thou eat of his sacrifice. All right. In verse 16, and thou take of their daughters unto thy sons, and their daughters go a-whoring after their gods, and make thy sons go a-whoring after their gods. Because you know, that's just in Jake, man. Even from our forefather Adam, man. What happened? He knew what was right and wrong. He knew that he shouldn't have had gone and ate of that tree. But what? What does Jake do? Jake likes to please their women. And that's what happened, man. Adam went and tried to please his women by eating of the tree of good and evil after the Lord told him not to. But he went and tried to please his woman, and he did that. Just like Jake today. You know, Jake, Jake in a docile mind tries to please their women, man. And they do what? And especially when you go and deal with these other nations, man. You marry these other nations, marry the woman of these other nations. They go and and sacrifice and worship their idols. Because I mean, when I was dealing with that Elamite, man, she like, you know, look, Lord, throughout Yahweh Shai, I was woken up to this truth. You know what I'm saying? She was always trying to tell me about her gods and the different things about it. You know what I'm saying? I listened for edification's sake. So, you know, if I was out in the highways and byways, I can, you know, debunk that madness. But, like, you know, she would try to tell me a lot about it. And I would tell her, like, yo, your guys ain't shit, man. Your guys ain't real. Like, look at this guy. The one of her guys she was telling about was a horse, a human horse, not human horse, a human elephant with mad arms and his face was blue. I don't know. It was madness. And, like, she would always, like, she'd get in her car. She'll try to put a little god up on the thing. And then, like, I had her car sometimes. I'll take the god and I put it in her idol. And I put it in the armrest, whatever. And, like, yo, because, you know, she couldn't, you know, Tawada Yahweh Shai, she couldn't get me to go a horn after another god because, you know, right now I'm woken up through the spirit of Yahweh Shai. I'm woken up to that madness. Like, I'm not worshiping no damn idol. Like the scripture says, that idol can't do nothing. It can't breathe. It can't move. It can't even wipe the dust off itself. But y'all here worshiping that madness? Like, nah, man. But, you know, I know Jake personally, who got with Arab women, and, you know, in their culture that it's crazy because these heathens, they follow their stuff to an extent that they'll tell a man, like, yeah, I can't marry a man that's not a Muslim. So I know Jake that went and converted to Islam just to please these women. And that's how you know these scriptures is real, man. Because you're not seeing these other nations. Like, you're not, like, I can say I personally have not seen a so-called Chinese person get with an Arab and a Chinese person convert to Islam. I have not seen an Edomite person get with an Arab person and convert to Islam. I have not seen that. But I've seen so-called Hispanic men. I've seen so-called Native American men. I've seen so-called black men convert to being a Muslim for the sake of being with these women, man. And that's why the Lord said, do not go and marry these strange women, man. This is how you know these scriptures is perfect, man. And these scriptures is pertaining to us because our people are the only people that's doing it. On a large scale, our people are the only one that's doing it. That's why you see our people even in our nation. But make this point real quick. That's why you go to these mosques and temples around the states. Who filling up these mosques and temples, man? Not these other nations. It'd be the nation of Israel. You so-called Black, Latino, Native Americans, man, be filling up these temples, man. And then you got even in our own nation, you got men. And I've been part of this where you got men of our nation dealing with the women of our nation. That's why it says she that is our enemy shall see it. And if the shoe don't fit to you women out here that's watching these videos, don't wear it, man. All right? I'm not talking to you women who, you know, who say that y'all believe in these scriptures and believe in Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. I'm not talking to y'all. All right? I'm talking to the women that I personally have dealt with, and I know that most men of our nation deal with too, that, you know, you get with these women, and they do what? Like, oh, yeah, come to church with me. Oh, I got to deal with a man that goes to church and believes in Jesus. Why? Because these curses, man. The Lord even put it on our women to try to convert them, convert his men into believing in this church's bullshit, the church doctrine and bullshit. I've dealt with women like, oh yeah, come to church with me this Sunday. I went to see, because, you know, I grew up in the church, and I went with her just to see the folly that still goes on in the church to use for edification's sake. It wasn't for me going there trying to convert and actually learn a lesson in there, because ain't nothing these pastors in these churches. My dad is a pastor. Ain't nothing these pastors out there could teach me, man. I got pastors. They're the apostles and the elders of GMS. Those are my true pastors, man. Those are the men I listen to and follow to. Not these fools in these churches, because they not saying nothing, man. They singing lullabies to these people in these churches and rocking them to sleep, man. These pastors can't rock me back to sleep, Lord willing. You know what I'm saying? Because I get woke up to the truth, and Lord willing, I stay in this truth, man. I stay grounded. You know what I'm saying? But, you know what I'm saying, these women, man, I talk to women, she's like, yeah, you need to come back to the church. For what? What is in these churches, man? You know, what is in these churches, man? They full of homosexuals, adulterous men and women, and folly, man. That's it, man. They're not teaching the people nothing, man. But, you know, that's what to make that point. But that's the point, wasn't there? The Lord, he didn't want us dealing with these other nations because he's going to turn our hearts from him. And that's exactly what happened, all right? So from there, I'm going to go to Ezra, the 9th chapter. And this is getting to the point of the confusion of faces. Before I get that, I want to get this in 1 Kings. No, I get Ezra first. Then I jump to 1 Kings. You know, I'm getting to about Solomon. This is Ezra chapter 9, verse, I'll start at 1, all right? And Ezra was a great prophet, all right? This is the book of Ezra chapter 9, verse 1. Now, when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations, even the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites. Now, we read already back in what? Exodus. Was the Exodus? No. In Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter. Deuteronomy 7th chapter, verse 1. What did the Lord say? I'll read it again. It says, Deuteronomy 7:1. When Yahweh thy power shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hast cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. Verse 2. And when Yahweh thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them. Smite means what? Kill them, and utterly destroy them, and thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. All right? But you go back in Ezra, all right, and it says what? Verse 9 again. Now, when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves, meaning what? They made that covenant with them, have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations, even the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites. All right? For they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons. All right? So that means what? We took the daughters of those people, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Canaanites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites. We have took their daughters for ourselves and for our sons. So we married into their daughters. And we gave their daughters to our sons. All right, so that the holy seed, the separate seed, have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yeah, the hand of the princes and the rulers have been chief in this trespass. Right, it was a trespass because the law. So that's a sin. So a sin is what? According to 1 John 3 and 4, sin is a trespass against the law. The law was that we were not supposed to do that. The law was, the Lord said, whatever the Lord said is law, right? The Lord said we're supposed to utterly destroy them, smite them. So for this to not happen, all right? So you jump down to verse 6 in chapter 9 of Ezra, and it says, O my power, I am ashamed and blessed to lift up my face to thee, my power, for our iniquities are increased over our head, and our trespass is grown up into the heavens. Since the days of our fathers have we been in great trespass unto this day. For our iniquities have we, our kings, our priests, been delivered into the hands of the kings of the lands, to the sword, to captivity, and to a spoil, and to confusion of faces, as it is this day. All right. So Ezra was ashamed to lift up his face unto the Lord because of the iniquity and the trespass that the kings and the princes and the priests have done, which they did was mingle their holy seed with the daughters of that land, because the Lord told us not to. And as a punishment, the Lord did what? He put us into captivity. All right. And that's what happens when we go against the Lord's word, we disobey him, we go into captivity. And it was a shameful thing. All right. It's a shameful thing for us to mingle with these other nations. And I want to bring out this point real quick. All right. I was looking up on Google because, you know, the brother, I believe he's from the Chicago camp. He did I watched sister down in the spirit camp upon me to do this. He looked up the word confusion in the blue letter, and it came back to the word shame. So I was doing some research, and I looked at the word shame, and looking at some synonyms for it. And while I was looking for it, this popped up. I don't know if you can really see it. I'm going to read it. It says, badge of shame. Now, confusion of faces is a badge of shame that the Lord put on us, all right, to put on our people as a confusion face. If you look like these other nations, that's a badge of shame. So I'm going to read the definition what the badge of shame is, all right. It says badge of shame, or also a symbol of shame, mark of shame, or a stigma, is typically a distinctive symbol required to be worn on a specific group or individual for purpose of public humiliation ostracism or persecution. The term is also used metaphorically, especially in the pejorative sense, to categorize something associated with a person or group as shameful. All right? So that's basically the point I want to make. So the Lord put that badge of shame on our people because we want them, because we mingled and spilled the holy seed amongst these other nations. So the Lord said, what? All right, I'm going to put this badge of shame on you. Just like the Lord put that badge of shame for killing his brother Cain, for Cain killing his brother Abel. The Lord did what? He put a badge of shame on him. Let me get that real quick. All right. This is a book of Genesis chapter 4. And I start at, just to give the history. All right, yeah, I just started chapter 4. Just give the brief history. I'm going to run through it quickly. All right, this is Genesis chapter 4, verse 1. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from Yahweh. And she bare again his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. In process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto Yahweh, and Abel he also brought of the firstling of his flock and of the fat thereof. And Yahweh had respect unto Abel and to his offering, but unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And Yahweh said unto Cain, why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou dost not well, sin lieth at the door. And until thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him. And Yahweh said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from the land. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. And Cain said unto Yahweh, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that every one that findeth me shall slay me. And the Lord said, and Yahweh said unto him, therefore whosoever slay Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And Yahweh set a mark upon Cain, lest any find him should kill him. Right. So what was that mark? You know, through the spirit and through the teachings of the apostles and the elders of GMS, that mark was the leprosy. All right. The Lord put that mark upon him of leprosy. That means he stripped him of his pigment. Because, you know, during this time, you know, everybody on the earth was of dark skin. All right, of brown skin, because you know Adam was made from the dirt, from the richest soil of the earth. And you go to any part of the world and you find the richest soil of the earth, it's a dark brown, man. So that mark that he put upon Cain was the mark that he took away his pigment. So that's why, because you know, you walk on the face of the earth, Cain walk on the face of the earth, and any other people, because you know, and that's another subject. I'm not even going to bring that up. So other people that saw I saw Cain, you know, they would have seen him and like, what the fuck is that? We got to kill it. You know, just like today, you see somebody, if you see a purple person walking around the earth, say there's a purple walking upon the face of the earth, you're going to look at that thing like it's totally different than anything you ever seen. So when the other people saw Cain, they said, what the fuck, what the hell is that? This motherfucker's walking around, he's white, you know what I'm saying? He's leprous. You can see his blood through his skin. So, you know what I'm saying? They, you know, in the minds of people, like, we got to kill that thing. So that's why Cain said it to the Lord, like, you put this burden on me more than I can bear, because if somebody sees me, they're going to want to put me to death. All right, so that's that mark. So going back here, you know what I'm saying, that's the point I'm trying to make. That was a badge of shame that the Lord put upon Cain. All right, so as a badge of shame that the Lord put upon the nation of Israel, when we mingle with these other nations and spilled our seed into these other nations, the Lord put that badge of shame on us. Meaning what? That our people who are mingled amongst these other nations, they have to wear that, their children wear that badge of shame, meaning that they're confusion of faces, man. All right. So I'm gonna bring out Nehemiah, the 13th chapter, and I'm gonna start at 23. This is Nehemiah 13 and 23. In those days also saw I Jews that had married wives of Ashdod, of Ammon, and of Moab, and their children spake half in the speech of Ashdod, and could not speak the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people. Right. So when our people, during this time, Nehemiah is saying that he saw Jews, meaning he saw the so-called black so-called no, not when he said the Jews, he's talking about the ones of Judah, the ones of Benjamin, and the ones of Levi, who had mingled themselves with the wives of the women of Ashdod, Ammon, and Moab, and they spoke half the speech of Ashdod and could not speak the Jews' language, meaning they could not speak Hebrew, man. All right, and that's what happens, man. When the Lord scattered us into these nations, right now, as a whole, as a nation, we're not speaking Hebrew, man. This is what happened because the Lord stripped that from us, man. And this is why the Lord said he didn't want us dealing with these other nations, because he knew this was going to happen, man. And now they couldn't speak they couldn't speak the Jews' language, couldn't speak Hebrew, because they were learning from their people, learning from their mothers the language. All right. But according to the language of each people, 25, and I contended with them and cursed them, right? Because this pissed Nehemiah off, man, because Nehemiah was a man who kept the law and feared the Lord. All right, he said, I contended with them and cursed them and smoked certain of them. What does that mean, smoke? He hit them. He beat their ass. And he said, and plucked off their hair and made them swear by Yahweh, saying, ye should not give your daughters to their sons, nor take their daughters unto your sons or for yourself. So Nehemiah beat the brakes off them and pulled their hair out and made them swear unto the Lord, saying that they won't do this no more. All right. And it says in 27, did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things? Yet because Nehemiah knew that they was going to go off to go a horn after these other gods and making idols, because he said, he's going to say in 26, didn't even King Solomon do this? And he was considered one of the greatest among the nation of Israel. So that's why he beat their ass and plucked their hair off and said, nah, y'all wrong for this. Y'all going to swear now that y'all ain't going to do this shit no more. Nehemiah was pissed off, and he was a great prophet. All right, read 26. Did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things? Yet among many nations was there no king like him, who was beloved of his power. And Yahweh made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, even him did outlandish women cause to sin. So, shall we then hearken unto you to do this great evil, to transgress against our power in marrying strange wives? All right. So Nehemiah is telling him, it's like, oh, even King Solomon, who was, a great king of Israel, he was ruled over all of Israel. Didn't he even, didn't he even sin by marrying these women, these outlandish women, and cause him to sin? Now we're going to read in 1 Kings, the 11th chapter, where Solomon went off. All right. This is 1 Kings chapter 11 and 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, the women of Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonites, and Hittites, of the nation concerning which Yahweh said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come into you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love, and he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. So that's where Solomon went wrong. And it's going to keep reading. It's going to keep proving it. For it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with Yahweh his power, as was the heart of David his father. And read verse 5. And Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Malcolm, the abomination of the Ammonites. Solomon did evil in the sight of Yahweh, and went not fully after Yahweh, as did David his father. Then did Solomon build a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, and burn incense and sacrifice unto the gods. And Yahweh was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned away from Yahweh power of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice, and had commanded him concerning these things, that he should not go after their gods, but he kept not that which Yahweh commanded. Therefore Yahweh said unto Solomon, For as much as this is done of thee, thou hast not kept my commandment, my covenant, and my statutes, which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant. Notwithstanding in thy days, I will not do it for David thy father's sake, but I will rend it from the hand of thy son. Howbeit I will not rend away all the kingdom, but give one tribe to thy son David for my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen. Right. So Solomon because he married these strange women, he did what? He started to please them. Because when you sitting there pillow talking, that the woman put it on you. Solomon had all these women, and then they put it on Solomon. You sitting there pillow talking, and these women got into Solomon's head like, oh, Solomon probably was like, yo, ask me anything, I'll give you anything you want. I'm the king of the earth right now. And the woman's like, oh, I just want to be able to worship my God and build a idol to my God, and idol, what I'm saying. And Solomon, after he did his business with these women, and, they looking all good to him. To please them, he was like, you know what, go ahead. I'll let you build anything you want. And he ended up worshiping these guys, man. That's how Solomon went off. And the Lord, this is why the Lord said, don't deal with these women, man, because they're going to turn your heart from him. And that's what happened, man. Our people's hearts got turned from him, and we started whoring at these other gods. And as the badge of shame, because it was a shameful act that we did to the Lord, he put that confusion of faces on us, man. As well as so that we deserve. You know what I'm saying? That's why you got Israelites out here that look like these other nations. And it's a shameful thing to look like these other nations, man. Because, especially being the so-called Israelite that looks like an Edomite, you know what I'm saying? You don't have that melanin now. You don't look like an Israelite, man. And that goes back to the point that the apostles is making, that's how the Lord, it was a shameful act that the Lord put upon us, but in the movement of the Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai right now, he's showing a miraculous act right now, because he's showing the power of him that he's going to deliver and wake up the mingled seeds amongst these other nations. He's going to even wake them up. That's why you're going to have brothers like the two brothers that did those videos from Chicago. You're going to have brothers that look like Edomites that's going to wake up to the fact that they know that they're from the seed of Israel, and they're going to be out here pushing this truth with sincerity and love, and have that fire in them, man. Those two brothers had that fire in them to do that sit down, and they know that their line goes back to the seed of their forefathers, to the nation of Israel. In our spirit, the ones who look like so-called Israelites, so-called Black, Latino, Native Americans, our spirit bears witness with their spirits, the mingled seeds of these other nations, that they also are Israelites, man. And that's where we at today. That's the power in the wonderful works of the Most High, that even now he separated us separated us amongst these other nations. He's going to bring us all back. He's going to bring us all back to the fold. And the Lord is waking us up, breaking those mingled seeds up through the power of this internet, man. The brothers, doing these sit-downs on the internet and putting them out there, and these Israelites mingling these other nations, they're going to wake up, man. And that's why you got brothers over there in Kenya waking up, brothers in Switzerland waking up, in Germany waking up. All over this continent, the four corners, brothers are waking up that are part of that mingled seed, man. All right? This is Psalms chapter 106 and 35. But we're... I started 34. They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord Yahweh commanded them. Right. The Lord told us to destroy those nations when we came amongst them, not to dwell with them, not to make covenants with them. All right. But we mingled with them, as it says, but we're mingled among the heathen and learned their work. Right. I'm going to keep reading. But we mingled among the heathen and learned their works, and there served their idols, which were a snare unto them. Right. The Lord said we mingled among the heathen and learned their works. And because why? Because we got with their women, their daughters, and we learned their works. Why? Pillow talking, and they come out there with their idols and their philosophies. And guess what? Our fucking men, man, not being men, started listening to them and worshiping their idols and listening to their philosophies, man. And the Lord said that it says a snare, and they were a snare to them. Why? Because we saw the beauty of these other women of these nations, and the beauty of them. That's why the scripture is so perfect, because it says, do not not verbatim. It says, do not let the beauty of a woman, don't go after the beauty of a woman. You know what I'm saying? Basically, don't let the beauty of a woman be the reason why you deal with this woman, man. Because it could be a snare unto you, like the scripture says. That snare was, we saw how beautiful they were. We started dealing with them, and what happened? We started marrying them, and started going after their idols, man. And this is why the Lord said, don't do it. He told us don't do it, because he said that because he knew what exactly was going to happen, man. All right? Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, the 3rd chapter, and the 23rd verse. All right? I started 24. For shame have devoured the labors of our fathers from our youth, their flock and their herds and their sons and their daughters. We lie down in our shame, and confusion covereth us. For we have sinned against Yahweh our power, we and our fathers from our youth even to this day, and have not obeyed the voice of Yahweh our power. Right? So confusion cover us. And that's why, for a perfect example, the apostles bring it out to me, because I didn't know this until the apostles bring it out, and I did my research and I found out for myself that perfect example is the basketball player. He plays for the Pistons right now, Blake Griffin. He does those IKEA commercials. You look at him, he looks like a so-called white man. And then he has a child with a so-called white woman, and their child is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid. But if you look at Blake Griffin's father, that brother's as dark as me. And guess what? And that's that shame that the Lord put on us for us mingling with these other nations, man. You got the shame that Blake Griffin's father has is not his son. Which Blake Griffin's father, shame is not his son, looks like these other nations. And how wicked this place is, our people look at that as like, oh, that's beautiful. Look at that, black and white people mingling to make beautiful mulatto babies. That's not the way the Lord set it up, man. We're not supposed to look like that. We're supposed to look like dark-skinned people, man, with woolly hair. We're not supposed to have hair like them that falls down our shoulders. Our hair supposed to go straight up. Our eyes supposed to be brown, man, like the Lord's eyes, man. Like the Father's eyes, man. That's supposed to be blue and green and all them other crazy ass colors, because even scientifically it's proven that you got them light colored eyes, your eyesight is weaker than somebody with brown eyes, dark brown eyes, man. But now the shame, the badge of shame is confusing the faces. Now you got Blaze Griffin's son, which is that dark skinned brother's grandchild. He looks like a so-called Edomite, blonde hair, blue-eyed, fair-skinned Edomite. And now, if he continues, Lord willing, this place don't continue that long. But if he continue that shameful act, that trespass, and he gets with a white woman, that bloodline right there it's changed forever. You know what I'm saying? So going on continually, that child is going to come out looking more and more and more like an Edomite, to the point where you're going to forget about the grandfather, that he's the progenitor of Blake Griffin's line, and he was a so-called black man. But it's going to be forgotten by the time that Blake Griffin's son is a grandfather or a great-grandfather. They're going to forget that their grandfathers, that your great-great-great-grandfather was a so-called black man. And that's the same thing goes for these Irish people out here and these Sicilians. It happened the same way. Our forefathers committed that shameful act by sleeping with the women of these other nations, and they whitewashed our bloodline, to where the fact that now you got Sicilians, they calling us moolies and eggplants, but not knowing that their forefathers were black men. You tell them, like, yo, you see the movies, man, like, yeah, yo, you was a nigga too. You know what I'm saying? They laugh at us because they don't believe that the fact that their forefathers were black men. That history proves that the Moors went down there and killed off majority of the men out there and was out there raping the white women, to the point where that bloodline got changed forever. I forget the name of that movie that they said it. The guy said that they did so much fucking that bloodline has changed forever. So that bloodline now from the Sicilians, that's why you see these mobsters, man, they act just like Jake, man. These Sicilians act just like Jake. Why? Because they are Jake, man. Them Italians, man. Not Italians, them Irish motherfuckers, man. They act just like Jake, man. Because they are Jake, And that's why the ones scattered amongst these nations, they act just like Jake. They, you know what I'm saying? When you get around them, they vibe more to Jake, man. Because they are Jake, But that's that badge of shame that they have to wear, man. That confusion of faces is that badge of shame. All right. From there, I'm gonna get Hosea, a couple of scriptures on Hosea. I've been doing this for an hour. I didn't mean to make this long, but spirit. This is Hosea chapter. I bring out chapter 7. Chapter 7. This is Hosea chapter. I started 5. This is Hosea chapter 5, verse 7. All right, and it reads: "They have dealt treacherously against the Lord, Yahweh, for they have begotten strange children. Now shall a month devour them in their portions." Right? It says they have begotten strange children. Why? Why? Because they mingled that seed with these other nations, man. All right. Now these children that look like these other nations, they're strange children, man. They, you know what I'm saying? They don't look like us, man. But through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, they're still Israelites, man. They're still Israelites. That's why they're coming back to the fold, man. All right, and that's why Yahweh Shai, when he said, I have of sheep that are not part of this flow that he has to go get, non-verbatim. Those are the ones that are mingled amongst these other nations. That's why when you go to the New Testament, when it talks about Romans, talks about Corinthians, talks about Ephesians, Philippians, Thessalonians, Galatians, Ephesians, those are all Israelites that the disciples were talking to back then, man. They weren't actually talking to the heathens. Those Gentiles were people. Those were the people that had the badge of shame on them, man. That confusion of faces, man. All right, that grew up. Like right now, if Yahweh Shai was on the scene and the disciples were on the scene, we would be called Americans, man. They'll be to the book of Americans because why? We're living like these Gentiles. We're living amongst the heathens, man. We're doing the customs of them. So there will be a book in here called to the book of Americans or the book of Colombians. You know what I'm saying? That's all that is. But you know, people are just, they don't have the eyes to see and don't have ears to hear. All right. This is Hosea chapter 7 verse 8. Ephraim, which is makes up the northern kingdom. All right, because when you read when it says Ephraim, it's talking to the northern kingdom because Ephraim, which are you Puerto Ricans, y'all the top tribe of the northern kingdom. All right, it says Ephraim has mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. Right. That's why you look at majority of the northern kingdom, man. They go from very, very light to damn near Esau light to all the way to dark as me, man. I've been to DR, man. And you think, you know, a lot of the Dominicans, so-called Simeonites, they being over here in the States, a lot of the Simeonites I see over here, they're over a fair skin. You know what I'm saying? They're not like Esau white, but they're more of a lighter skin. But you go over there, DR, Dominican Republic, them brothers over there, them sisters over here are my complexion, man. I seen that with my own eyes. People over there thought I was Dominican, you know what I'm saying? Because Dominicans have our same hair texture, you know what I'm saying? And they have the same features. But, you know, over here, I don't know how that happened, but you got majority, I guess when they got over there, they try to mingle with Esau to, you know, try to blend in, you know, but I don't know how they really end up lighter like this. But over here, most Dominicans I see are of fair skin, but over there, them brothers is dark, man. They look like straight up niggas. And I was talking to two brothers the other day, Ephraim, you know what I'm saying? Ephraim, as far as most of the tribes in the northern kingdom, Ephraim acts the most like niggas, man. That's why, you got Ephraim, you get Puerto Ricans and niggas together, man, they act just the same, man. If it wasn't for the language barrier and the fact that some of them are light-skinned, but you get a dark-skinned Ephraimite, so-called Puerto Rican, and a dark-skinned, matter of fact, you can get a light-skinned Puerto Rican and a light-skinned Judite, you couldn't tell them different. They didn't speak, they both didn't open them up and speak. You couldn't tell the difference, man, because they look exactly alike. They act exactly alike, man. Because why? They're all Israelites. But for the majority, the most part, Ephraim acts the most like Judah, man. And that's why, that's why it says Ephraim should not vex, non-verbatim, Ephraim should not vex Judah, and Ephraim should not envy Judah, and Judah should not vex Ephraim, because they're both the same people, man. They're like, most of the time they go head to head because they're two top tribes. But for the most part, when they get together, it's a fucking party, man. I've been to parties where Ephraim and Judah's been together, man. It's a fucking party. It's nothing but love, man. But but through the curses, you know what I'm saying, they bump heads a lot. They go to war, they two gangs and all that nonsense that's under the curses that we deal with. But the point is that Ephraim is a cake not turned, because why? That confusion of faces, that badge of shame, because Ephraim's mingle with the people, and that's why they come from shades from light to dark. All right. This is Hosea chapter 8, verse 8. Israel is swallowed up. It's talking about the northern kingdom. Now shall they be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein is no pleasure. Right. And it's majority of our people, but the ones that are scattered amongst these nations, man, they're a vessel amongst the Gentiles, meaning amongst the heathens, man. But wherein there is no pleasure. Why? Because they look like these other nations, and they also live in the customs of these other nations, and they're worshiping the gods of the other nations. So they're a vessel to the Most High that they have no pleasure in, man. All right. So that's why the Lord said He's gonna what? He's gonna gather them together. Matter of fact, let me get that. Bear with me. Give me 1 second. can't read the scripture. I know the scripture by heart, but it slipped my mind. All right, thank you. This is Amos chapter 9, verse 8. I was thinking Hosea chapter 9, verse 8, but it's Amos chapter 9, verse 8. All right, this is Amos chapter 9, verse 8. Behold, the eyes of Yahweh thy power are upon the son of the kingdom, and I will destroy from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith the Lord. For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. All right? So yeah, Lord, right there, the point of this was, he said what? He said, I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve. Right? So the Lord is going to gather all the elect out of the four corners of the earth, out of all the nations, man. He's gonna shift them, man, like a corn and seed. Just like that little machine that you shifted, and the seeds go on the bottom, and the good part of the corn stays in it. All right, and that's how the Lord's gonna do with the elect of the nation of Israel, because like we brung out, he said he's gonna what? He's gonna scatter us amongst all the nations. All right, and this is the point right here in Revelations, the 7th chapter. I'm going to close with this. It's the point here. That's how you know that you're going to have Israelites that's going to look like all these other nations, and they're going to make it to the kingdom, man. All right, this is Revelation chapter 7, verse 7 and 9. All right, and it reads, After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number. Why couldn't they number? Because the Lord said we like the sand of the sea. And like I made the analogy earlier, it's like you're taking a handful of sand and throwing up in the air. All right, you can't number that. No man can number that. All right, and just like in this day when this happens, no man's going to be able to number this multitude because we're like the sand of the sea. All right, read it again. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man can number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes and psalms in their hand, and cried out with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our power which sitteth upon the throne and unto the Lamb. All right. That's the point. 9 and 10 was the point. So right there, it says you're going to have a great multitude, which a number that no man can number, out of all nations. Because the Lord said he's going to sift the nations. He's going to sift the Israelites out of all these nations, man. So you're going to have Israelites that's going to look like the other nations. So this is not a black Hebrew Israelite thing. This is an Israelite thing. Hebrew Israelite thing. That's it, man. You can't call us black Hebrew Israelites because we're not black. We're not black for one, and we're not just a dark-skinned nation, man. We're gonna look like every nation upon the face of the earth. Amongst this multitude, this great multitude that no man can number, you're gonna have Israelites looking like Chinese people, Japanese people, Indian people, Alaskan people, Antarctic people, Australian people, British people, or Edomite people. It's so crazy. You're gonna have people that when raised Jewish that they're gonna be Israelites amongst this number, man. All right, that's like the scripture says, if you can't understand this, it's not for you, man. Because the Lord gave you eyes to not hear and eyes to not see and ears to not hear, man. But you can't say that we're a black power movement, man. We're a nation movement, an Israelite movement, man. That's all we are, man. The elect of the nation of Israel. Because not even all Israelites are going to be able to understand this, man. Only the elect of the nation of Israel is going to be able to understand this, man. And that's through the power and the mercy of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right? So with that, I'm going to close out and give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, and double honors to the apostles of GMS, and salutations to the occupant of four corners and the ones mingled amongst these other nations, man, doing this work and believing in this truth, man, and holding on. So holding on to Yahweh Shai come back, and we can get, and the ones of you who, are amongst the confusion of faces, wearing that badge of shame, man. You know what I'm saying? Like the scripture says, we got to bear these iniquities on us because we went off, man. So we got to bear these iniquities. Y'all got to bear that badge of shame and that confusion of face. And because when the Lord comes back, man, He's going to give us that body, give us those bodies where we're going to all look the same, man. We all going to look like the original way a Hebrew Israelite looks like, man. So, to the ones out there that, wearing that badge of shame, I want to say this, and that all the confusion of faces, man. Then don't let that bother you, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just curses. We all got curses on us, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, even the ones that do, look like a so-called Hebrew Israelite, man, we got curses too, man. Like, I can't grow a Rick Ross beard or a James Harden beard. That's a curse that the Lord put on me, man. You know what I'm saying? You gotta wear that badge. You gotta wear that badge of shame, man. These curses are a badge of shame upon us, man. Confusing the face is a badge of shame on us, man. So to you brothers out there that's wearing that badge of shame and confusing the faces, man, don't let that bother you, man. Fuck it, man. That's what I'm saying. That's the curse that the Lord put on you. Just wear that badge of shame to the end of this thing, man, because you know what? It's going to be a miraculous thing when they see a bunch of dark-skinned, so-called black, Latino, Native American man getting raised up, and they also see you looking like a so-called Edomite or so-called Japanese, Chinese, all these other nations getting raised up with these men. And you're going to be like, oh, damn, they were right. You know what I'm saying? These are Israelites scattered amongst all the nations. The Lord said he's going to do that as to show his works, man. So don't let that get to you, brothers, man. Just hold on, keep strong, keep the faith, and keep pushing this word, man, and keep believing that you're Israelites, man, because our spirit bear witness with your spirit. All right? Shalom.